Hello, lovelies. I'm going to be spilling all the shroom lore, which the group chat has dubbed, shlore. I actually had, like, a whole mystical, like, I don't know, fancy intro written out, but now that I'm reading over it, it's actually kind of cringe. So I'm just gonna jump right into the stuff. Why can I not scroll right? Okay. First I gotta do a bunch of backstory and world building stuff. Well, okay, now my notes app is being weird, won't let me scroll. Okay. Alright, first got to set the scene. There's this wood, or like forest, that's in the middle of nowhere in this fantasy world. I gave up on it being historic and in a real place ages ago because it was just too complicated and it was annoying me. It's a magical woods, of course, filled with this powerful, not quite like spirit, but like a being. I don't know, like spirit of the woods. Oh, and this spirit, when it's strong, it can take like ghostly forms, like humanoid, like just like ghosts of the woods. I don't know, spirits of the woods. And they sing. The woods are also full of these little mushroom peoples, the shrooms, but only one species actually possesses magic, which is the fantasy shrooms, and they can't spread their spores and like reproduce and all that stuff without the song of the woods, which like activates the magic in the spores that helps them grow or something. And so then like the ghosts and the shrooms live in symbiosis, singing for the shrooms, and the shrooms strengthen the magic of the woods, yada yada yada. And then people encroached on the woods and started chopping trees and making village, because colonization. And then this weakens the woods, and there are fewer ghosts. And then finally, it isn't strong enough to take humanoid form and become spectral animals. Mostly these like ghost elk, inspired by Wendigos, which I think is Canadian folklore. But now I've called them Welkin folk because it's definitely way different. Because Wendigos are these kind of terrifying cannibal beasts, and the Welkin folk are just these cutesy little ghost elk that, you know, they're just around. They're there. They're not eating people. Anyways, without like the singing, because the Welkin folk can't sing because they're animals. The fantasy shrooms are now going extinct. Oh no! Fast forward a few decades, and now they are nearly extinct. There's only like one fairy ring left. Then along comes Elizabeth. She's just chilling with her dad, who sort of neglects and ignores her. And her mother is dead. I don't know why, actually. Probably like typhoid or something. I swear, good parents, like IRL. It's just the easiest way to traumatize a character. Elizabeth is a Feyborn. The proximity of the forest magic like seeps into some of the babies and gives them strange features. So like, heterochromia and other stuff. Like Ayla. Anyways, Elizabeth has these sort of like antenna antler thingies. If you've seen any drawings, you know what I mean. Because they're not like antlers, because they're more flexible than that, but they're also like, they're also not bug antenna. I don't know. And then her mom actually loved her crazy, and cut them off as a baby, so no one would know. And then always kept her hair in a tight braid, like tucking in the antennae as they regrew. And then her mom died of typhoid or plot convenience, something, I don't know. Anyways, her father wants to marry her off because Merida, and Elizabeth is real annoyed about that, as one does, and runs off to the forest occasionally. Because the hills are alive with the sound of music. Definitely get copyrighted for that. Oops. Oh, and the song in the woods is like calling out to her or something, because the song is within her as a Feyborn or something like that. And then she finds that one ring to rule them all. The one ring of fantasy shrooms, and helps them survive and repopulate the woods. And she dances for them and sings for them, because the song of the woods is in her, because of the magic of the wood is also in her, and the magic is the song. And yeah. Then her dad takes her to some other village, I don't know, to meet the dude she's like forced into marriage with. Well, she's gonna be forced to marry. And there's like this folk dance or whatever. It's like, you know, grab your partner, swing him around, do-si-do, all that stuff. And then this new guy, Avalon, shows up and they're like, whoa. And it feels like they know each other and there's that like they already know each other and have known each other for a while. And there's this like strange connection they feel. Soulmates. Soulmates. But it's actually the Wildwood magic like recognizing itself because they're both Faeborn, but she doesn't know that. And then he totally uncreepily follows her a bit. That's like, and then like sees her with the shrooms because they're like drawn to each other. And then they like dance together or something. Hang on, I've got to reference my Google Doc because the plot is getting kind of nebulous right now. No, where's the backstory? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, so, yes, they're at a dance, and then she's being forced to dance with her, like, fiancé, and it's, like, awkward and clumsy and awful, and he's stomping on her feet or whatever, but then, like, they switch partners, and then, oh yeah, Avalon and Sella dance, just for, like, a moment, but then, like, she's laughing, because it's fun, and she looks so alive, and their eyes meet, and they're immediately attracted, because they're cutesy like that, yeah, and, like, they dance a bunch together, and they, he comes again for, like, the next festival or dance or whatever, and then they sneak away to, like, talk, and they start to, like, fall in love, but then before they smoochies, he reveals that he's also Faeborn, which, and, like, expecting to be rejected, because they're rejected by society. I don't know if I mentioned that. They, like, chuck out the Faeborn babies or something. I don't know. It's kind of a brutal society I made for such a cutesy little mushroom story. But then, yeah, she's like, oh, hey, look, I'm Faeborn too. Yay! And so then they can, like, protect the fantasy shrooms together and, like, have festivals to activate the magic spores and stuff. And then they somehow just, like, both run away to be hermits in the woods or something. And, like, settle down together and marry and have a daughter. Her daughter had, like, 5 different names. I don't even know what it was last, because now the daughter doesn't exist in my current version. I'll explain that later. They just have, like, a cottage in the woods by an apple tree, because Avalon means apple tree, or island of apple trees or something. And then Elizabeth changes her name to Sella to, like, detach from her old identity with her father or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, and they take care of the shrooms together. But then people, because people are jerks, begin encroaching further on the woods and chop down the precious orchard, I think, that Avalon lived at with, like, a granny Faeborn or something. And he gets annoyed and explodes in forest magic and attracts, like, a lot of people because, yeah, magic explosion or something. But then Sella shoves him back to go protect their daughter, but then she's captured. They kind of tie her to a stake, basically a witch trial, because they're real freaked out about magic. And they kind of start to burn her alive. But she only gets minor burns on her legs that'll leave scars. Wink. Remember that for later. But then she calls out to the Wildwoods, not wanting Avalon to watch her die. And it turns her into a Welkin folk. And a huge chunk of the forest dies, giving up its magic power or whatever, so that she could become that. And then now the forest is mad or something, and, like, shuts everyone out, including Avalon and their daughter. So yeah, I kind of killed off Sella, but it was for the plot, I promise. Anyways, the shrooms can't survive anymore. Oh, cause there's no one to sing for them. And Sella manages to grow, like, a single new fantasy shroom with the magic in her, just, like, by shoving all the magic she possesses into, like, one little spore or something, and it grows a new mushroom. but then she's weakened. Like, that's all she can do, and she retreats to the heart of the woods. And that one last shroom she managed to help is Lula. And then fast forward, so way more, and there's very few shrooms left. The fantasy shrooms don't leave this, like, certain perimeter that's the most magical place in the woods. But Lula knows they're slowly dying and finally decides to venture outside of the inner grove of the woods. And the fantasy shrooms can't stay long out there without, like, the magic circle or whatever. Or they get super tired and die or something, I don't know. Anyways, then she spots this other little mushroom guy named Seedy. Oh, and just a side note, each species of shrooms has its own, like, dialect or whatever, like the not electric, or like chemical signals or whatever, how they communicate through their roots and, like, touching each other. And only fantasy shrooms can, like, translate through them all. So this makes them great for, like, diplomats and stuff, because they can talk to everyone, and their roots are basically like shroom Google Translate for everyone. Alright, now I'm gonna be reading off my, like, 3-act story structure outline, which I kind of hate. But yeah, so things might be kind of, like, scattered and weird. Anyways, so yeah, Lula comes across Seedy, who is going to this, like, stream to grab water or whatever for their little mushroom society, and then he accidentally drops one of his precious leaves that he collects on that little twine belt or something. And he comes racing back, and Lula is like, "Here, I got it for you." And then he's like, "Oh my gosh, fantasy shrooms aren't extinct after all," because all the other shrooms think they're, like, dead or something. And then they both kind of, like, run away because they're both scared of each other. But then he starts coming back to the stream because, like, wow, the fantasy mushrooms should not exist, but how? What? And Lula's coming too, but she's, like, staying out of sight. And then finally Seedy brings, like, 2 pressed flowers for her, which are the things on her braids, and, like, leaves them by the banks. And then she picks those flowers up once he's gone, though he's actually, like, watching her in the bushes or something, and, like, puts them on the braids. And then he comes out and then scares her, but then she runs away. But then she comes back, and then they like talk through their roots. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we can actually understand each other, wow." And so they're kind of just, like, learning about each other. And then the next day she brings her little hazel shell guitar, and, like, slowly, like, getting to know each other. But then one of her family members, one of the last fantasy mushrooms left, goes missing. And so then, oh yeah, and Seedy wants to help her because he wants to help the fantasy shrooms, like, not die. So then her and Seedy set out on a quest to find her brother, but then also find themselves a new human to sing and help them rebuild their colony of shrooms or whatever. Why did I call it a colony? I don't know. And then the plot gets nebulous and kind of like a 3-year-old's children's picture book, except it's also a story that involves, like, someone getting burned at the stake, so it's just really weird. And so then they kind of just, like, tromp around the woods, having just whimsy and fun. I don't know, like, meeting the other shrooms, which are Aggie, Mariah, Ellie, Beos. There's, like, 6 of them or something, all different, like, mushroom types. I don't know. They all have their own reasons to join the quest or something that I never figured out. And they're trying to find the song to help them make more fantasy shrooms again and grow. And something, I literally wrote, something serious happens. I don't know what. Lula is accused of being the source of a sickness plaguing the edible shrooms. Like, I'm calling them the edible shrooms just for identification. That doesn't mean the shrooms are being eaten. Oh, and apparently she's almost killed by an angry mob, according to my outlining. Really? Oh my gosh. Oh, and also Lula's mom is now missing. Oh my gosh, what the... Huh? What was I thinking? Like, these are cutesy mushrooms. This was supposed to be, like, a happy story. Windy. And, like, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and I forgot. Oh my gosh. Anyways, they're, like, they begin like venturing into the human settlements and like civilization because they're still trying to find a human, but also like save her family or whatever. And then like they're all the shrooms are captured, and then Lula manages to escape, but then humans find the last circle of fantasy shrooms. Oh, and then all of Lula's family is killed. So yeah, that happened, I guess. Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm so sorry, guys. Don't worry, absolutely none of this is true anymore. Remember, I've completely changed the story. So yeah, Lula's the last of her kind, and then she can't make any of her own spores grow because the song is like lost or whatever. And then her friends are all trapped, and there was something about like hair symbolism. Her braids got cut off or something. I don't know. What was I thinking? Oh my gosh. Oh, but then like Lula's like obviously like sobbing her heart out or something, and like being all like, I'm alone in the forest. Oh. But then she's like, and then, but then a Welkin folk comes, she's like, and then she puts her roots deep into the forest and like calls on the magic of the wildwoods. And then I think I tried to shove in some cringe theme of "You're never alone" by like having all the forest having always been there or something. And then like the magic of the woods helps like bust out her friends, well, like free them. Yeah. And then she's like finally manages to like encounter this one Welkin folk close up, and then sees the braids in its mane and the burns on its legs. Is like, you are Sella, the person I grew up hearing stories about from my mother. Or something, yeah. And they like find Sella's unmarked grave or something. Wait, but then why would she even have a grave? Because she turned into a spirit or whatever. Anyways, yeah, so they finally know because according to the shrooms, Sella just like vanished. So yeah, they finally know what happened to her. And then like there's no way to get the song back, so they just give up, apparently. And they're like, okay, well, Lula's just gonna be the last one, but we're gonna live anyways and have a happily ever after, and then her and Sini get married or whatever, and then what on earth? And then they all live to ripe old ages, which for shrooms that's like 2 years old or something, I don't know. And then at the last second, oh yeah, I think yeah, Sella had a kid. Oh yeah, Sella had a kid. And then Sella's kid is called to the forest, and then like has like the song in the woods like awakens in her, but only at the last second, not a second before or something. And then Lula's been planting spores around just everywhere, just on an off chance that they'll maybe magically grow. So then when Sella's daughter comes along singing, like the whole forest is suddenly like filled with fantasy shrooms. And so Lula's like, oh, my species is saved. And then she dies right next to Sini. And when shrooms die, they just like become a normal mushroom or whatever. Yeah. Needless to say, I'm glad I've changed like pretty much everything. Holy moly cow. So that was something, but like that's not even like an entirely complete story. There's so many plot holes, and that's also such an unsatisfying ending. Like they just give up. Like who likes characters who just give up? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Anyways, now that you've heard all that, now forget everything I just told you, because literally everything has been changed. Only a few names are the same, and that's it. Also, like, basic world building. I can't spoil too much, but, like, Lula isn't even the main character anymore. I think she's, like, gonna be maybe an unnamed background character who pops in for maybe 2 seconds. I don't know. Also, Avalon is now a girl, and her nickname is Avi, and it's not Avs. so I can't have autocorrect say abs anymore. So in your face, Clemmy. And I don't think Sini even exists anymore. And there's also a centaur, like elk dude, who really needs a hug. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for my new story because, like, I actually have a reason of why I want to tell it, and it has a purpose, and it's not whatever monstrosity I just yapped to you guys about. See, but this is how stories are made. They grow and change from something really cringe and horrible into something like your masterpiece, you know? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the massive yap session and rest peacefully in the knowledge that I'm not going to kill off Stella anymore. But no promises!